Live from the J.C. Newman Cigar Studio in Boston, Massachusetts. Welcome to the Smokin Tabacco Show with your hosts, Matt Tobacco and Smokin Nicole.
And good evening, ladies, everybody. Sorry, I can't talk today. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome everybody to another episode of the Smokin Tabacco Show. I am joined once again by my very good friend, Mr. Mitchell Santaga, in beautiful British Columbia. I am in the J.C. Newman Cigar Studios. And Mitchell, where are you at?
Yeah, I am broadcasting from beautiful British Columbia, as mentioned, in the Gurkha Cigar Studios. Don't forget to head over to your local retailer, favorite online shop, and pick up the brand new Gurkha Ghost Connecticut. That's right, the Ghost now has a line extension, the Connecticut, and it's creamy, it's beautiful, and it's delicious. Make sure you go out there and get it. I think it was officially released last week at the Great Smoke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as well. They were taking orders for it at TBE, but yeah, I think Abe was the exclusive launching point for that cigar. So great cigar. I've had it. It's a great addition to that Ghost line. If you're a Ghost fan and you smoke Gurkha, I would highly recommend that one. Don't forget to check it out. Mitchell, so we have a little bit of not really big news, but more of an update, so to speak. As we talked about last week, we launched our third iteration of our Cigar Family Charitable Foundation raffle. That went live Monday night, so it's been like 9 days now. And in 9 days, we've raised $9,000. Currently, at the time, at this very moment in time, we're at $9,000 even.
You know what, everyone? That deserves a little...
It does. It is. I mean, and
guys are killing it.
And that speaks to, everyone out there who donated the money. Thank you to them. I mean, the people, without them, I mean, that it wouldn't be here. So thank you to everyone who's donated so far. It's huge. I mean, we have 34 days to go. I've not really been screaming it from the mountaintops, but I haven't been shy about it either. I'd like to do 30,000. So, I mean, at this rate, I think it's definitely possible. We've been adding more and more prizes to the raffle page. The Fuente prizes that everyone keeps asking me for are mostly in. I am releasing them in small quantities, but there is more than just the 4 items that were added yesterday. So thank you to everybody. And we have a long way to go, and it's going to be an exciting journey. And just can't wait. Just can't wait for it. I mean, it's amazing. I can't believe we're... Man, this is awesome. If we can get to 10 grand by this weekend, I mean, that's, a week and a half, 10 grand. I mean, there's no reason why we can't do 3 times that, in the course
No, it's
of
true. And like I
4
said,
months.
with all the manufacturers putting in the prizes that they are, it's people are getting the chance to win things that are, as I like to call, unobtainium. You pretty much can't find them anywhere on the market. So
You can't.
it's and again, like I said, for the cause, it's amazing. Like you said, you guys visited the foundation. Was it late last year?
Yeah.
Late last year, and you firsthand can tell it's every dollar goes to an amazing cause.
Yeah,
So,
I just want to give
prizes.
I want to give another shout out to the guys at How About That Cigar for having me on the show. On Monday night, I was with them. It was a great time. Thank you for having me on the show and helping us promote this fundraiser. It does mean a lot to us here at Smokin Tabacco, as it does for the Fuente and Newman families, who have expressed to me hundreds of times how much it means to them. So thank you for that, and to everyone who's helped spread the word and share the news on that, and help us kind of get everyone together. Thank you. I just wanted to say that one more time. But tonight, we also have another special show planned because we have an award winner on our show tonight. That's right. We have an award winner on the show tonight. It's our 2022 Person of the Year, or Man of the Year, who is who's one of my favorite people in the industry. And he plays a big role at Espinosa Cigars. Let's bring him on here. I can't wait. I don't know if I could build him up any more than that. I mean, he's a legend. He's a legend. It's Hector Alfonso, Smokin Tabacco's 2022 Person of the Year.
Thank you guys for having me on. Actually, Matt, I'm making the announcement now. It's from now until the end of the year. It's Sir Hector Alfonso. So if we can,
I like
me.
that. I
Excuse
like
me.
that.
it's Sir Hector Alfonso because listen, when you called me to when I won the award, I was really taken aback because I'm a support guy, and and these awards usually are for brand owners and faces of the company. So it was very nice. It was an honor. But I think my cohort Jack Tarano summed it up best when he said, "Anybody but Terrence O'Reilly." As long as it's anybody
Oh man,
but Terrence
shots
O'Reilly.
fired.
And so that's
Oh man, that was so good.
It
and
was
look, Tim McCabe's on. What a great guy Tim is. You want to know what kind of a guy Tim McCabe is? I don't know if you guys ever met Tim McCabe. Tim McCabe, we had an event in Buffalo, and we do this every once in a while. There's conflicting events. Eric doesn't say no to anybody, and why should he? I mean, when your brand's hot, you want to be everywhere. But it was conflictive. He was going to be somewhere. Jack was going to be somewhere else, and we needed somebody to go to this Buffalo cigar event, and I went up to do it. And Tim doesn't even work for us, and Tim was shuffling me around like if he was one of our reps. What a great guy! What a great guy Tim McCabe is. So I'm very
That's
happy
awesome.
to meet him. Very
shout
happy
out
to
to
have
Tim
met him
McCabe.
and continued my acquaintance with him. So yes, like Jack said, anybody but Terrence Riley. I don't feel that way. I don't feel that way because I think Terrence.
You're just relaying the quote.
I'm just relaying the quote, and I think they had a little back and forth, which is very funny because Jack's a witty guy, and Terrence obviously is possibly one of the smartest guys in the cigar industry. So it was good to see that little back and forth.
It was funny because I saw Jack on the trade show floor. I think it was the first day of TPE, and he sees me, and the first thing he said was, "Hector Alfonso, really? Out of everybody?" And then he was like, "Nah." He's like, "Well deserved. He's a great guy."
Jack better know where his bread is buttered. If Jack wants to have a nice place to sit at the office, he better listen. Jack, no, outside of Eric himself, there has been no proponent. Nobody has been a bigger proponent or stauncher supporter of what we, of myself and what we do, what I do for the company and what the company's done. And it's really, I'm telling you, it was really an honor. I mean, listen. There, especially a year like last year, which is a big year. This was a huge year in the industry. It could have gone in any direction. So I'm very thankful.
And personally, at least pulling back the curtain a bit, it wasn't just what you did in terms of for your own company of Espinosa, but you've had your hands in multiple companies blending outside of your own portfolio as well, and those brands were landing on lists as well as our lists, and we thought that recognition was really well deserved. So
Listen, we've come a long way. I mean, listen, in this industry, when you run across brand owners and you run across ambassadors, for some reason, there is a very small group of guys who blend cigars. There really is. There really is a very small group of guys who blend cigars. And I mean, not just at our level, which is small, I'm talking about at much bigger levels. But, you go into shops and there are a lot of guys who still come into the shop I go to who don't know who I am, because they're just starting out and you listen to them talk. Everybody wants to be involved in the cigar blending aspect of it. Like it's really sexy, and it's not. I mean, it's the part that it's, to me, it's always been it's what drove me to stay. Once I started working on this, it's the one that's motivated me to. This is what I really want to do. I like this. It motivated me retiring early to go do this with Eric full time. But it's a very small group. But if you hear you go to the trade show floor, or you're at the Circle Bar, or at the old Circle Bar, and you hear guys, everybody's like, "Well, I blended this and I blended that," and you're like, "No, you didn't. I know who did that." And then I've had guys tell me, and I'm not going to play that. You can't, you don't win anything by calling people out. But I had a guy told me that he blended this, that he said, "Hey, that guy just said he blended that cigar." I said, "I did that cigar. What's wrong with that guy?" But do you want to get into that pissing contest with the guy? No. So you just kind of, it's as long as the guys who talk about the tobacco, who review the cigars, who make the news announcements, who promote them through public releases, press releases, know who is it. I'm fine with that. I really am.
Yeah, I mean, you guys last year, the biggest splash, it's no secret, Knuckle Sandwich with Guy Fieri hit the market with Espinosa, and since then it's already expanded to. There was a PCA exclusive, if I remember correctly, and then
There was a PCA, yeah, there was a PCA exclusive. We launched the line extension in the very last week of December. We announced the line extension for January, which has gone off. It's gone off incredibly. The Connecticut is just, when you think about a Connecticut, usually people launch a Connecticut right away. When a new company comes on, it's Habano and Connecticut, or Habano, Connecticut, Maduro. Those are the three ones they launch right away. Just like we did with Espinosa. Well, without waiting 5 years, we waited a year. The brand got its feet wet. The demand is still high for the cigar. The people are still craving for it and clamoring for it. So the new line came in January, and then just a couple of weeks ago we released. Listen, we have had in our 10, 11 years, we have had some really great releases that have flown out the door, but nothing like this bad boy right here.
oh, the
This was
55.
the 55. You have no idea how many people are upset at us about this 55 because they couldn't get enough of it. And listen, you have to play. It's a delicate balance about promoting a new brand, promoting the Guy Fieri line, which is Eric and Guy together. It's a delicate balance between promoting that and oversaturating the market with every single and a connotation, or I'm sorry, every single iteration of something you can make with that Knuckle Sandwich logo on it. You have to try to kind of be delicate. And we did this thing for him. He wanted to do something for his birthday, so we made the cigar for his birthday. And it was kind of one of those schmaltzy kind of things. 55 years old. It was a 55 ring cigar. It was 5.5 by 55. We had all the numbers were in play there. We made 555 boxes, and they were gone. And then I actually felt bad for our sales staff, because our sales staff is the one that got allocations, and they have to say, well, I've got this store has carried me, but I can only give you one, or I can only give you two. It was that kind of a problem. It was, and don't get me wrong, it's a problem we would have never thought we would have never even imagined that 10 years ago. But that happened with the Warhead sampler that we did a couple of years ago. It's happened with a couple of things that we've done that were like really quick hit limited releases. They fly out the door. This was, we could have made 5,000 of these things.
I was gonna say, in hindsight, you should have made 5,555 at this point.
But then here's the thing. Then the guys will tell you, then there's nothing special about smoking the cigar. What makes it special now? Nothing. Now. So what makes it special is that you were part of the 5,500 people who got to smoke the cigar, because that's how many cigars were made. So that's it. That's the beauty of it. So it's a delicate balance, man. Listen, we are trying to do everything the right way this time. In our 10 years prior to Knuckle Sandwich, we did a lot of things that young companies do to try to get ahead, and the market was a little different now. But the market's changed, and the cigars are going through a boom again. And when you get an opportunity to launch a brand and do it kind of the right way, this is we look at what we did with Espinosa, and where we should have made a left, we made it right, or we should have made it right, we made a left. Where we should have stopped, we kept going. We can take all of these learning experiences and use them now with this brand while we continue to push our brand forward as well.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about celebrity cigars from time to time, and usually the tone with celebrity cigars is, I mean, and Hector, it's not like the jazziest conversation, because history tells us a lot of those collaborations, they just never really blow up the way I think people think they would. But
if you I can give you my 2 cents if you want my 2 cents.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
All right, this is what I think happens. Celebrity releases are in at their core regionalized releases. Okay, and without naming names, if hockey player, badminton, I'm just going to use different sports so nobody gets their panties in a twist. Hockey player comes out with a cigar. Taekwondo champion comes out with a cigar. Let's say Gracie comes out with a cigar. Royce Gracie comes out with a cigar. It's a regionalized cigar. Where is Royce from? Where's his hometown? Where does he live in the United States? Where's he popular in the United States? It's going to be popular there. It may be popular with a sect that watches MMA or that watches the jiu-jitsu stuff. And then you have the issue that he's been out of the sport for 15 years. But let's say he just got out a couple of years ago. Even if you just got out, even if you're a Hall of Famer, you just got out of the sport. And what we noticed with Knuckle Sandwich, where we had the crossover, where Guy Fieri kind of transcends the industry. If your significant other, and I know your wife smoked or will continue, will start smoking again eventually one day, doesn't smoke right now, but your wife's into cigars like you are.
Yeah.
She may not know who those sports guys are. She might not watch hockey. I mean, you're in the Northeast. I doubt that she does not know who hockey is, but she doesn't know hockey players. But let's say that she's not a sports person. She may not know who that particular sports person is, or that actor, in the case of a couple of actors who have come out, or that basketball player or whatever. But she knows who Guy Fieri is because he's on the Food Network 8 times a day. She knows, and she eats. She doesn't play basketball or hockey, but she eats, and she likes she likes dives and diners and drive-ins and grocery games, and she likes that stuff. So he kind of transcends our industry, and that's what I think has been that's been one of the important elements in transcending just the cigar culture into the mainstream culture, which he really has made an incredible effort to do that. If you watch his shows, he's wearing the Knuckle Sandwich cigar shirt on his show. You can't pay for that kind of. There's no billboard in the world better than that.
It's true.
I see him all the time with one in his hand, non-lit, all the time.
And let me tell you something. A lot of these guys, they're partial smokers, or they're part-time smokers, or they're not enraptured or completely swallowed up by the cigar culture. Guy smokes cigars. When we were with him at the Big Smoke, he must have gone through 5 cigars in a 3-hour period. Even I don't go through 5 cigars. I don't go through 5 cigars a day, for Christ's sakes. He's, one after another. He's into cigars, man. I'm telling you, he's into cigars. Just like he's into tequila, just like he's into, his restaurants and his TV shows. He is a full-fledged supporter of whatever he gets involved in.
Yeah, I mean, he's even been on. I think he was on like some.
He did a Chris Wallace. He did a show with Chris Wallace. He did a.
Yeah.
It was on HBO Max. He did. Look who's talking to Chris Wallace, and he mentioned his cigars.
It came up.
So obviously the cigars they're important to him.
Yeah, I mean one of the more recent ones that came out. I think Jeremy Piven did a cigar, and I remember hearing about it, and then I never saw it. And then I remember asking some people, like, "Oh, did you guys ever get those in?" "Oh, yeah, we got a couple boxes. Never saw anyone smoking it." You
want to laugh? Do you want to laugh? It's a great cigar.
I'm sure it is.
When I had it, I called Dion and said, "This is an incredible cigar." And he goes, and he said, "Thank you very much." And he said some other stuff, but he said, "Thank you very much." And we talked about other stuff. He didn't say anything about the cigar, but I'm saying it's a great cigar, but you have to get behind it. Another thing a lot of guys a lot of celebrities get involved in this industry don't realize. Just like your co-host John, or your part-time co-host John travels. You have to travel to sell cigars. You have to get on a plane and you have to fly to Wichita, and as many times as you want to say, I'm just going to Boston, Chicago, New York, Atlanta. You have to go to Indy, and you have to go to the Carolinas, and you have to go to Texas, and you have to go to you have to go to Oregon, and you have to go to Washington and Washington. You have to travel to spread the word about your cigars. And some of these guys have a schedule that probably doesn't allow it. And cigars might have been a venture that they were interested in, but not realizing the aggregate amount of time that cigar sales and cigar marketing and branding and getting out there, spread the word, will take, what kind of a toll it'll take on your time. It takes a lot, bro. It takes a lot. Hell, the world's most famous rapper had a cigar for a while. And he's he going to stop doing concerts to go sling cigars? Probably not.
You bring up a good point, and I think it's something that people don't realize. Reps, even people like yourself, you work in the industry, you got to travel. I mean, it's a road life. And fortunately, I've gotten to spend, a lot of time with John, because he's one of my closest friends, and obviously we spend a lot of time together. But a lot of the times I spend time with him, it's, meeting up with him while he's on the road and going to do events with him. and which is great. And I love doing it. But like I get to see that firsthand of like, the method of the madness of what he does every day, especially when there's an event. It's like, okay, you get checked into the hotel, get settled in, getting up early the next day. And John does his cooking at his events, right? So it's like, okay, now we got to go.
Sure,
We got to get all the
absolutely.
things we got to get. We got to get all the food, prepare. These are all the cigars. All the stuff's already sent to the store. Unbox it, set it up, make a display. I've done countless events with him, and just to see, like, it's a lot of work. And, I do them here and there with him. I mean, he does, back to back to back to back to back. It's, go to one city, do that for 2 days, set up, have an event, do the whole thing, get on the plane, go to the next city. And it's like, I hate to compare it like this, but it's almost like, like when bands go on tour. You know what I mean? It's like
Absolutely.
you go on the road
And
and you're gone.
And while he's at that shop in Alabama, he's already planning what his next trip will be in a couple of weeks.
Yep.
You got to lay out the logistics for that. I flew the least amount in RO. I flew about 79,000, almost 80,000 miles. But Jack is well over 100,000 miles. Eric is well over 100,000 miles. Richie doesn't travel that much anymore because he is mostly key accounts, but he does travel out to his key accounts. He took 7 or 8 flights last year. I was traveling like once every other month for 10 days, and that's not counting that I really haven't been to Nicaragua. I've only been to Nicaragua once in the last year. I'm going again Friday. On Sunday I'm going again. So, that doesn't count the trips to Nicaragua, which are a pain in the ass. And in John's case, the trips to the DR.
Yeah.
We've got, listen, this year alone, you have the Big Smoke. The Great Smoke was here. The Big Smoke was the end of last year. That was in Las Vegas. Then they had to go to TP. Now we're going to TAA. They are going to TA. While they go to TA, I'm going to Nicaragua. Jack was at the Underground Festival. I did the Smoking 10 event in Ohio. Eric is doing this event over there. Eric, he's going to Texas to the other one in Texas. We're constantly out there trying to to have a face that attached to the name while we're out there amongst our other, I want to say our brethren, but our competition as well, as they, at these multi vendors. So there's a lot of work. There's a lot of travel involved. And I came back Sunday, and I'm still, I'm I know it's a family show. I'm still banged up from this trip. I got
It's
on
not
a
a family
6:30
show,
flight.
but that's
Oh, okay. I'm still fucked up. I got on a plane at 6:30, which means I had to get up at 4. I got to get up at 3:30. I'm sitting at the airport at 4:15, 4:20, because I know how TSA in Miami is, but I don't know how TSA in a smaller city might be. So I got to make sure that I don't get, I can get through TSA, and I had pre-check, but I got through it, and and I'm on a plane, and now board's at 6:00, and we're on the plane at 6, and we land at 9:30. Then you land at Miami International Airport, which is packed on a Sunday because it's the beginning of spring break here this week. And I'm still banged up. I'm telling you, I'm still not 100%, and now I got to get on a plane on Sunday. So, but that's as what did the guy say? What did Hyman Roth say? And Godfather 2. This is the choice that we have made.
That's right.
This is the choices that we have made. Samantha Nicole. Hey, Samantha Nicole.
And
all right. So anyway,
it's funny because and then you talk Godfather 3, and it's like once I thought I was out, they pulled me back in, and you see a lot of people, they leave and they come back.
I think the better line in that one is, if you do it, they'll be scared of you. And he looks at Tyler Shire and he goes, maybe they should be scared of you, Connie. Maybe they should be scared of you.
It's so true, guys. I forgot. We have to. We missed 2 things in the show tonight already, and we have to kind of backtrack a little bit. I apologize.
Do your thing.
It's time for our What Are We Smoking segment, brought to you by 2guyscigars.com. That's right. If you head to the number 2, guyscigars.com, you'll find an amazing selection of some of the best cigars available in this industry, only at the number 2, guyscigars.com. Well, Hector, I know you're smoking the Knuckle Sandwich 55 over there. And Mitchell, remind us, what are you smoking?
I got a Laranja Reserva in my favorite Vitola.
Loves that cigar.
The Kaigsa. This is my last one, actually.
And Hector, that's not even just because you're here. I mean, that kid loves that cigar. I love this cigar. It's all he talks about.
Yeah, he threw that in there because I thought he was going to do a red or a green. So I didn't know he had that one in the arsenal.
Now this is amazing. Like every time I smoke this, to the nub. I cannot get enough of these. But my second cigar will probably be a 601 Red.
And I'm smoking the 601 Blue, the Maduro, which is a fantastic cigar. And on deck, I have, where is it? I have the 601 Green, the Oscuro. So I have that.
The most underrated cigar in our portfolio.
Yeah, really?
Super underrated. That green is super underrated. It hasn't gotten the accolades or the word of mouth that the blue or the red has, but it's one of those if you know cigars. I get that a lot from guys. Guy said, "Man, this 601 green is." I go, "Yeah, you know." I go, "If you know, you know."
If you
Problem is,
know.
we need more people to know. We need more people to know. You know.
That's right.
You know.
I know. And as always, we cut and light our cigars with our favorite accessories. Brought to you by Cigar Blondie. You do the cutter first. The beautiful double guillotine cutter, and then of course the flat blade flame lighter. Available in 3 finishes: chrome, white, and black. Only available at cigarblondie.com. All right, so back to the show, guys. We talked about Knuckle Sandwich, obviously. I mean, it's probably the biggest thing going for Espinosa right now. I think that's been, as we said, a huge success. It's already expanding. Last thing I'll ask Hector before we kind of pivot to other topics. Do we see more with the Knuckle Sandwich line this year, or are you guys just...
Yeah, of course. Of course.
So there's even more to come.
No, I mean, core line wise, we're good. We just released like I said, we just released the Connecticut, and the Connecticut. We'll wait a while before we release another core line, but you'll see a PCA special. We'll do the chef special like we did last year of the chef special, which is a box press Figurado. Last year we did it in Habano. This year there's a new blend in Sumatra. And there's one other thing you may see. I've got to keep it under wraps right now because we're not sure what the timeline is. But you may see another Espinosa type kind of thing with to what we used to call in law enforcement shake the tree, something to shake people up. So we don't have a timeline on that, but we have at least one more thing coming by the end of the year.
All right. Well, I'll trust the process. Like we say here in New England, in Bill Belichick, we trust. I entrust in you with Espinosa. We'll see
Trust the process.
One of the things that we saw at TPE, and I think was also announced that same week, was the Wasabi Lanceros being released again. Tell us a little bit about Wasabi Lancero for those who don't know about it.
Well, there is, Candela is one of those tobaccos that I guess the new generation of smoker doesn't really know a lot about Candela. Candela was the most popular wrapper imported into this country until about the mid 40s, early 50s. So several years ago, we made a cigar for a company called Moya Ruiz, who I really thought they were going to be the next Viaje in the sense that they were going to do these small limited releases that would do very well at shops and create buzz until their next one. I really thought that was the direction they were going, which is an ode to what Farkas does at his company. I think that Viaje has their system works perfectly for them, and some of the releases are just outstanding, And it didn't come to fruition, but they wanted to do a cigar called Pickle Juice, where they would put some Candela cigars in a green container that looked like a container of Heinz pickle juice, Heinz pickles.
Yeah.
So I went to Nicaragua with one of the missions was, I forgot what else I was doing, but one of the missions I had at the moment was that I had to make a Candela cigar. So prior to making that Candela cigar, my daughter just came home. I had to give my daughter a kiss there. So I'm a dad.
You're good.
Beyond everything else, I'm a father. So one of the things I did prior to that cigar was I smoked a lot of Candela, and in my opinion, there were 3 great Candelas and a lot of unspectacular lawn clipping kind of Candelas. Now, I'm not the guy. I don't make fun of other brands because listen, it's just everybody has a different taste. Everybody, there are a lot of cigars that people smoke that they love that you question why, but people's palates are people's palates. So the 3 cigars that I really enjoyed, and for people who know me should be surprised. I really dug the Ilusión Candela, and the Holy Lance. I really got into the Fomorian, which is the one that Skip does, and I really like the one that Floyd makes. Those are the three that I smoked. I smoked them once I found out I liked these. I smoked them again, and then I had an idea what I wanted to do when I went to Nicaragua. So we just released. We did the one for them, and then I made a couple for us. The one for us made it fancy. I box pressed it. I don't think nobody ever box pressed a Candela. So we box pressed it, and we put a little black Maduro tip on the foot on the head of the cigar. It does nothing. It's an aesthetic. It's an aesthetic thing only. I wanted to call that cigar Kermit Johnson, but we didn't really want.
Wow.
We didn't really want to get sued by the Children's Television Network, so we came out with the Robusto, and the Robusto did very well. Listen, it did very well, and we didn't make our Candela like the other companies I mentioned. Our Candela is not a March St. Patrick's Day release. It's an all year release. You can get wasabi all year. And the power of suggestion, just like you're smoking a Laranja, you would be surprised how many people walked up to me, Eric or Jack, and said, I'm smoking this Laranja and I taste citrus. And I don't know what to tell them. I kind of look at them, and the mind is very powerful when it comes to suggestion. And I always say, well, I think the guy who was making it that day must have had a Sunny Delight or something, because there's no orange. I don't taste any orange in there. There's no orange or citrus additive. There's no note of any citrus in any of that tobacco in that. But when we made the wasabi, people were telling us, "Oh my God, it's so spicy. Does it have wasabi in it?" No, it doesn't have wasabi in it. We'd kill somebody to smoke wasabi. I mean, I'm just thinking off the top of my head. That's gonna. Why would you want that kind of anguish? So after a couple of years, people were clamoring for a smaller wasabi. So we did a Corona wasabi, and the Corona wasabi does very well. And when I say very well, it's you in perspective to the amount of cigars we make, and we don't make as many wasabis as we make Laranjas, but the ones we make, they go. So we there's a couple of sizes that I think that as a company we do very well. One of them is a 48 ring. I think anything we do in a 48 ring is outstanding, and I take a lot of credit for that, because that's my preference. That's my ring size of preference. 6.5 by 48. That's me all day. But the other cigar that we do really well are Lanceros. So we had to do a project. We were asked to do something special for the Rocky Mountain Festival. So I made Lanceros of La Bomba, Lancero this, Lancero that, and we sold them in these packs. And the people were like calling. I mean, people were DMing us about the cigar. Hey, is this going to be regular production? I said, you know what? Let's do it. So we made about 500 boxes, and in the first couple of days, we went through half of them. I mean, a Candela Lancero, we went through half of them in the first day. So that just shows you, it's a tribute to, I guess, the company and people having faith in it, but also, I think it has a lot to do with the fact that we have tapped into that nirvana, and guys want to try this. Guys want to try anything that's funky and anything that's different. So that's how that came about. I mean, it was something that I was just going to drop on people, but I mentioned it on one of the shows, and next thing you know, a half wheel called me about it, and I commented to them, and there was a they wrote a story about it, and people were asking, when the hell is this coming? I said, well, you guys didn't know this was coming until 2 days ago. Relax, it'll be here.
I know, right?
and when I was out last week, I saw a bunch of people offering it to me. Hey, do you want to smoke the? I've had it. Trust me when I tell you, I've had it. It's good. I've had it. It's good. Enjoy your cigar, which is another weird thing. When you travel, I haven't really talked to Jack or Eric about this. Guys that are into your brand, guys who love you, guys who love the company, and you've been with them for years, who follow you on social media and stuff. When they see you at events, they're so happy to see you, because a lot of them are just happy that you've traveled to where they are. For instance, I did an event in outside of Seattle, in a city called Lacey, Cigar Daddies, on a Tuesday night. I think it was a really slow night. It was a Tuesday night when you think of slow nights in the cigar industry, and it was a packed house. And I said, man, this is a lot of people on a Tuesday. And the guy says, nobody comes up here. We're happy that somebody came up here. So they show their happiness by supporting not just the brand, but they come and support the brick and mortar. So that's some of the beauty of our industry. Our industry does have a lot of underlying beautiful stories and notes that when you look back, you go, wow, that's really cool. Like right now, there's a message on screen from Kissy Critchfield. who is her and her husband own a shop in Simpsonville, Kentucky, and me and Jack were there last year. Not Eric, I mean, because Eric's been out there a bunch of times, but me and Jack went out there, and she told us how she goes, "You guys killed it. I mean, you killed it." Which of course we had to come back and tell Eric that we outdid him the last time he was there. So,
Oh, I'm sure he loved that.
of course, he hated that. So we'll see. But it's
You ain't never going back now.
But no, he's not. Look, he's not a petulant child. He knows that he doesn't care if it's if it's the gardener. If the gardener go out and sling cigars and do a good job for Espinosa, Eric's putting him on a plane. That's that's what we're about.
Yeah. You mentioned that this industry has those little things, and we talk about it all the time. This industry is so special because of how small it is, and I think because of how small it is the reason why you have so many of those stories and those moments and those interactions, and where I truly believe. I mean, look, there's millions of other industries and business all around the world, right?
Right.
And I've never worked in all of them or many of them, right? As most people don't, but I truly believe that there's no industry like this industry because of how small it is, how close it is, and just the nature of smoking premium cigars. I mean, it's the argument we have all the time, right? Smoking cigars, It's not like going to a bar and having drinks with people. It's not.
Yeah, I don't think it's the same at all. I don't think anybody said, "Hey, one of the Clydesdales is going to be here this week. We should go to the bar and and go pet the Clyde." That's not it's not the same. I mean, listen, and I know that wine guys do it, and the bourbon guys do events as well. And at the big smoke that we just did in Fort Lauderdale a couple of weeks ago, we met a couple of these new distillers, these young distillers, and it's very happening. Listen, everybody talks about what a great industry we're in, and how we've kicked ass in the last couple of years. The bourbon guys are smoking us. What they're doing, what they've done in the last couple of years is incredible. I mean, they with these the people with disposable income and this newfound income who are working from home and have a chance to they're drinking whiskey like it's going out of style, more than the cigars that they're smoking. But I think it's different when there's a lot more brands there are a lot more whiskey brands and wine brands than there are cigar brands, and I think that people connect. I think the average person, if you're a cigar smoker and you drink whiskey and you drink wine, you may be a little more connected to the cigar side. So you will go out and support us at a shop nearby, because listen, you get a chance to do some of this inside baseball stuff, and you'd be surprised how knowledgeable cigar fans, and smokers have gotten in the last 10 years since I joined Espinosa. When I joined Espinosa, the media, cigar media, had just the one that I consider the collective cigar media of now, the young guns, the yourself now included, and Coop hasn't been called young in 50 years, and then Dojo and these guys, they really started to happen, pop 10 11 years ago. And we work hand in hand with them. We do things hand in hand with them to make sure that that they spread the gospel for us, and we go out, any chance to shake hands and kiss. Well, we're not kissing a lot of babies at cigars, but shake hands and pat people on the back. That's a fantastic thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. You talk about wine and whiskey, and really, I mean the multiple divisions of the bigger collective of the alcohol industry, which I think is probably the closest industry to ours. I don't know if you would agree with that, but to me, it's like the closest other industry. But yeah, it's there's similarities, but there's nothing like this industry, and we've talked a lot about it tonight.
I laugh because I used to say that this industry, when I first started working with Eric, and I saw some of the events and some of the people that would stand in line to see him, to meet him, and then I see the people standing in line at the second day of the big smoke. He didn't get there until like 45 minutes after the show started. There was a line of grown men and women, 40 or 50 deep, already waiting in line to see him, just to get 2 minutes with him and shake a hand, take a picture or whatever. It reminds me a lot of the sports memorabilia business.
Yeah.
There are parallels there. It's incredible.
Yeah, and how many of these whiskey brands, wine brands, rum brands, beer brands? Do you see people, like lining up to shake hands with the master distiller or
Yeah,
the guy who owns the brand? You don't.
or you don't because they're unless it was back in the old days where the guy from Pete's Wicked Ale or the guy who ran Sad Adams. Now who knows? You don't know who runs Budweiser. I don't know who runs Miller or Coors but I think that's what differentiates us, and I think we're a little more reachable. You know,
Yeah,
It's more human.
this is more accessible.
we
And
are more accessible.
one of the things that I'll give a lot of credit to is, especially in the last 3 years with the pandemic, I think that, really brought more of the industry online than it did before. Um, but people are more accessible. I mean, people like you and Steve Saka, I mean, the retailers themselves, like Abe, just people who are just on social media and they use it so much. People can go on Facebook and message you or share a picture and tag you, or they could share a picture of Dunbarton and tag Steve, and you guys will go on and you'll comment on those photos with those people and answer their questions or talk to them.
What kind of car do you drive, Matt?
Chevy Silverado.
How about you, Mitchell? What do you drive, Mitchell?
I drive a Toyota RAV4.
Okay. If anything goes, if you had a comment, whether negative or positive, about your RAV4 or your Silverado, do you think you can you could go to the Chevy website or the Toyota website and you might be able to send an email or send a direct message? But you're not talking to anybody. You're not talking to anybody with juice there. You're talking to a customer service rep who has a script and knows what he has to answer you back. And it could be, hey, look, I love the car. The car's been fantastic. Or something silly as, the seatbelt light doesn't go off when you have to go through a whole process, even though you sent them an email or sent them a text message,
Right.
You still got to go to your dealership.
Right.
We get messages all the time. Oh my God, I love this cigar. Have you thought about making it in a perfecto? And you have to answer them back. Listen, no, we haven't thought. But we're one of those few businesses where we engage at the entry level, at the first level of usership. The guy who buys the cigar, cuts it at a store, lights it. He can text and reach out, and he'll grab, in our company at least, he's going to grab one of the top 3 guys in our company and get a contact back from them. Good luck doing that with Toyota. Good luck doing that with Chevy. That's
With
how, but that's how in hand we are in this industry. I mean, that's how connected we are to our consumer. That at this level, we have that kind of back and forth with them. One of the things that I thought was great during the pandemic, and I know you guys are all friends. That's why I don't mind talking about this show or that show. Just like when I'm on your show, when I'm on another show, I've mentioned your show. The guys from DP did a 24-hour herb. Do you remember that, Matt? Do you remember
I don't remember it, but I heard about it.
All right, so it was, I want to say it was 10 o'clock at night. So, I got the link to, hey man, why don't you come on for a little while? And there's a room you have, Skip Martin was in that room, Steve Saka was in that room, Pete Johnson was in that room, Terrence Riley was in that room, Fred Rui was in that room. That's just 5 of the guys I can remember. There must have been 10 guys on there that you're sitting there going, well, this is like a baseball card junkie convention. If you're collecting baseball cards, if you're collecting baseball cards and you want, you're looking for guys who have a lot of substance, people who are recognizable on social media as ambassadors of our industry. We've got 10 of them right there. 10 great guys right there. I remember being in the rooms going, this is incredible. I mean, if you're a cigar nerd and you can't go out because you're in the middle of the pandemic and you're not doing shit, you're watching TV, but you can turn on this herf and watch these 10 guys just go at each other, enjoying each other's company, but talking shit about other brands and talking shit about themselves and telling stories. That's fantastic. That's an incredible thing. Prior to the pandemic, a lot of guys, when they'd come into Florida, and I think in the next 6 months or so, I think it'll correct itself again when people start to travel more. People would go to Caribbean, which is my shop in Miami, my local shop, not my personal shop. And on any given day, anybody in the industry would walk in. and sit down, and I would be sitting there, or Jack would be sitting there, and it was industry talk, and the guys who were members of that shop, guys who were regulars at that shop, would sit there and just hear stuff that they would never hear anywhere else. They were getting some inside baseball stuff. Like, sadly, I'm in Indiana on Thursday. Mickey Peg texts me. He goes, I'm at Caribbean. Are you in town? I said, no, I'm in Indiana. But Mickey's a guy who's been in the industry 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think Mickey's got some great stories to tell? And the regulars there are going to be like, the regular. I tell them all the time, you guys are spoiled. You guys are hearing the nuts and bolts of our industry. Thank God they don't repeat any of it. But you're hearing the stories from not the guys who are repeating the stories, but the guys who made the stories.
Yeah,
that's what it's all about.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, and it goes back to the whole culture of being in a cigar shop or lounge. In general, I mean, the people you meet, the people you run into, and I always tell people, like, you never know who you're going to run into at a cigar shop.
Absolutely not.
Depending on where you go, maybe more of a chance than others, but in the general sense, you never know. Someone will walk in. It doesn't even have to be an industry person. It could be a celebrity. It could be someone you know. It could be someone from the industry. It could be a brand owner. It could be a rep. It could be anybody.
And we support each other. Let me tell you something. When Blackworks has an event at that shop, I go and I buy my cigars and I sit there and I support the event. When Drew has an event, I support the event. Just like whenever Espinosa, even though Espinosa does do a lot of events at that shop because it's an Espinosa lounge and I'm there 4 times a week, we support each other. Me and Jack were on the road in Tennessee. I want to say a couple of months, November, right around November, we were in Tennessee. We had like 5 events in 5 days. And in each one of those events, reps from other brands would come to hang out with us because they wanted to hang out with the 2 guys from Espinosa. The guy from Drew came one night. The guy from Crown Heads came one the other night. It was, and the reps are the best. As much as you think brand owners and brand ambassadors are the guys who have the great story, the reps have the best stories because they're the guys with their feet, they got their feet on the pavement. They're pounding the pavement and they hear all the great stories. And they've got all the great stories. And I'm telling you, the time just flies when these guys are at these events with you.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've been involved in it. I've been there. I've done it, and it's a great. And you never want to leave. That's the thing. You'll go in there like, I'm gonna be here for a couple hours. I'll have a cigar, maybe 2, and it's 6 o'clock, and then before you know it, it's 1 in the morning, and you're like, fuck, I gotta go to bed. Like, where did that time go? It goes so quick. Especially at the trade shows too. I mean,
I am
just
not
don't sleep.
I'm not a big talker. I really am not. I mean, I do a lot of podcasts, but I'm promoting my brand that I work for. This is the brand that I work for. I consider it my brand because I was there. I also consider it my brand in the sense that I've been there since day one, and though I'm not an Espinosa, I consider myself an Espinosa by proxy. I've been with this company from day one. I remember when we had an 800 square foot warehouse with no tobacco in it, no cigars, and look where we are now. So I'm very proud of this brand, and every chance I can come on to promote the brand and promote what we're doing and promote Eric and his son and Jack and Richie and the rest of our team and the guys we make cigar for and the guys that we work in conjunction with and other lounges that we work with, I'm all for it. But I'm not a big talker. I mean, usually I think I've never been close to using my allotted minutes. Back in the old days when you had allotted minutes to talk on the phone,
Yeah.
I may talk 100 minutes a week. I don't talk 100 minutes a week. I don't talk that much on the phone. However, you find me at the PCA or at one of these brand where the brands are doing giveaways, the smoking events, and I can't shut up. Because I like the people. I like the guys in our industry mostly, and I enjoy
Mostly.
Yeah, listen. There's always guys that you're like, oh God, this guy. But at the end of the day, when you have a big enough group, even that guy can get lost in that group. I mean, I'm sitting at a table with, I had Ricky Rodriguez, I had David Blanco from Blanco Cigars, and Christian Rowe. So I'm sitting with 3 guys who are brand owners. I'm a brand ambassador in the sense that I work for Eric. I'm not the brand owner, but we're sitting at this table with everybody. I'm as popular as they are in the sense that the people who came out to this event knew who I was. And as a matter of fact, I think Christian turned to me and goes, did you bring these people in here? Because when they call, we do this little panel where you sit up on stage and you ask questions. And when they introduced me, I got like this huge hand. And Christian's like, did you bring these people in? I go, brought them all in. All of them flew in from Miami. They're all my people. They're all here to,
Just for you.
To support.
I made the phone call. I made the phone call,
and here they are. But that's not my point. Is that all of us, Unless, yeah, that's right, Chrissy. Unless they corner you on the deck, that's true. That's an inside joke. Thank you, Chrissy. I appreciate that.
um,
All right, go ahead. I won't even tell that story. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, Matt.
no, it's okay. I was gonna say we're gonna just take a quick pause and do our news segment really quick. Our
All right.
news is once again brought to you by Micallef Cigars. If you head over to MicallefCigars.com today, it's Micallef Madness. You can sign up to become an official ambassador. Get your ambassador number and coin. And while you're ready, head over to Facebook and join the Micallef Ambassadors Facebook group today. This week in the news, the Premium Cigar Association announced today that they are the hiring of Antoine Reid as its new director of content. In this new role, Reid will be responsible for overseeing content creation and production to PCA's various platforms, utilizing PCA's unique industry position to connect content with retailers, manufacturers, and consumers. In addition, Reid will leverage high-quality content to engage consumers to raise PCA's profile to enhance consumer engagement and grassroots advocacy efforts. Antoine's first day is Tuesday, March 21st. Interesting hire. Awesome to have him. It seems like they're trying to do a little bit more with media connection, which I think is great. I think he's a great guy to do it. It'll be interesting to see how the PCA utilizes this hire to get more content out, which I wouldn't say they've been horrible at. They've been better than some of the other associations, CRA. But no, this will be good. I think this is while it's when you think PCA, it's not like the biggest ticket item thing that they should focus on. It's always the legal stuff in Washington. But this is still good. This is big. This is something that I think will help get information to people. Something that we've talked about for a long time, and hopefully it continues to push PCA in what's they've seemed to be in the general sense for the most part in the better direction they've headed in the last couple of years. So really excited for this, and I hope a lot of great things come out of it.
Yeah, definitely. Through the years, I'd say all these kind of organizations in general, always the biggest criticism is communication, right?
Right.
And, all the people that are already at PCA, they've got a full plate and beyond of things that are being happen on, like you said, the legislative side. Some of them a little bit more active in social media than others, but I think it is important that, they definitely look towards kind of getting someone into that role that can almost be that communicative force for what's happening behind the scenes at PCA, and then getting that information not only to the public but also even to the retailers who they're an organization that supports the retailers, right, and the manufacturers. So I think it's a good step, and we'll see what happens this year with that. And but yeah, I think it's a good hire.
Yeah, our news is once again brought to you by Micallef Cigars. Yeah, no, it'd be exciting, especially as us being media people. I mean, we're the ones that probably affects a lot of, and it's nice. And PCA has I've been in touch with them, since the beginning on the fundraiser. Like they're going to help us, promote the CFCF fundraiser, which is I know not like the most important thing, but it helps, and we appreciate that. And of course, everything they do for legislation. I mean, they've been sending out press releases on things, and that's been good. Maybe there's some other avenues that they can, build on and make it even better. And I think that'll be great. I think it will be, and I'm excited to see how it shakes out this year. Hector, one of the things I wanted to bring up with you, we had a couple of comments. So there's two events. First thing I'm going to bring up because it just happened. Espinosa sponsored the Great Smoke Tailgate last weekend. Now, I didn't go to the Great Smoke this year. I was unable to travel, but so tell us about that. I think this was the first time that the tailgating has been done.
Well, I wasn't. Remember, I was in Ohio and Indiana last week. So
that's right. That's true.
The reason I was in Ohio and Indiana is because Eric doesn't say, it's hard for Eric to say no to anybody. And at times, Eric will double book. I mean, it happens. It happens to all of us. He may double book, and the 10 event in Ohio, he had booked it a little bit earlier, but the Great Smoke, not to disparage any of the two events, but his relationship with Abe goes back to EO, and I think that it's after much debate he realized that that maybe he had to attend this because Abe had already been promoting him as being there. And they're, don't threaten me with a good time sending me to Ohio or Indiana in the middle of winter, because I love it. It was snowing during this event, and I went out there like a kid. I think there's video. I went out there like a kid, and I'm trying to get snowflakes in my mouth and my, because I love the Midwest when it's cold. I try not to travel in the summer because I can be hot and miserable in Miami. I don't want to be hot and miserable in your hometown, so I just stay here and be hot and miserable. Uh, so from what I understand, it was, the barbarians, or the rough. I think it was the ruffians that were the ones who were going to be at the tailgate. And Eric is a guy who will tell you that our company was founded and grew initially on social media, and a lot of these smoking groups. And he has a lot of he has a lot of feeling for these guys, and a lot of those guys have equity in us, in the sense that we've done releases for them for their particular organizations and their particular functions and their charities that they support. So I wasn't there, but I can only tell you, if Eric was there and it was breakfast, he was probably super on in the morning, and I've got to assume they had a great time. I mean, that's you if you spent 5 minutes around Eric, Eric can't sit still. Eric is a guy who has to constantly be. He's an entertainer. I'm not an entertainer. If I am, I'm a different kind of entertainer. Where Eric is a real high energy, and he's got you laughing with the jokes. And I'm more of a sardonic kind of guy. I make you laugh by ragging on this or ragging or complaining. That's kind of my thing. But I'm sure it was a great time. I mean, I wish I had a better report for you.
No, it's okay. I mean, I know that I heard a lot of people talking about it. People had a great time. One of the parts of the Great Smoke that I missed because I wanted to see that and experience it for myself. But it seems like it was a success, and hopefully it continues and we can see that again. And when I do,
Listen, if I'm sure that Eric doing the breakfast couldn't have been any. It had to be just as good as Boofy doing the Pink Rhino, or whatever that other thing they used to do afterwards.
oh
When
yeah,
they used to go
oh yeah, yeah,
at the
yeah, yeah.
Experiment Rhino or whatever the hell it's
Yes.
called. I'm sure. I listen. Abe is a lot of things, but one thing he is not is a dumb man, and I'm sure that he puts the right people in the right situation to get the most out of that event.
Yeah, at Tim McCabe, there was probably a ton of card tricks that morning.
Yeah, he's
Um,
we yeah he's good he's really good at that.
the
He's really good at
the other event that people are talking about is more specific to you guys is Lazona Palooza, which is
that.
for Espinosa people I know is always a big deal. Um,
Yeah.
when is the next Lazona Palooza?
The Zona Palooza will be in November. We haven't after the show. We'll narrow the dates down. Right now, we have to go by big events. We have to wait. We have to let one big event go before we start working on the next one. The next big event is obviously PCA. So we will definitely be looking at La Zona Palooza as soon as from we return from the PCA. As you know, and I've said 1,000 times, it's my favorite event. Not. It's it's a lot of people coming down, and it's for a guy who doesn't like to be around a lot of people, in the sense that in a confined area, it's really tough on me. But it's only fair to say that the reason they're there is because they want to be with us. They want to spend time with us. They want that fellowship that they can get from our particular brand, that they choose to get from our particular brand. You can get this from any brand out there, but they want that fellowship with us. They want to hang out with Eric. They want to play the games and eat the food and smoke the cigars and talk to the guy. Listen, the majority of the guys who want to talk to me, they just want to talk to me. They want 5 minutes. They want to come in for 5 minutes. They want to talk about their favorite cigar. And if they play their cards right, I give them something out of Hector's Magic Humidor. And the Magic Humidor is nothing but cigars that didn't make it to production, but have been sitting pristine there for years. And all of a sudden, guys go, "This is great. How come this didn't come out?" Well, because when we were going to make it, it was dog shit. But now, it's been sitting for 4 years in cedar. Of course, it tastes great. It's
Oh yeah, sure.
listen. They want FaceTime. They want some of that FaceTime, and you can't blame it. I'm I've got hobbies and I've got things that I like. And for instance, just recently, now that I'm retired, I bought myself a little sports car. So I joined a couple of these groups for guys who have that particular car. And there's a faction of us in this group that are all over 50. we're like these gray beard Subaru owners. You go to a car show and you see guys who own Subarus, these WRXs and these STIs. They're all young guys like Mitchell and yourself, with
Yeah.
and then you look over, there's a bunch of guys who smell of, we take Geritol and smell of Bengay. But there we are with our Japanese all-wheel drive cars, and talking about the latest thing and how we smoked this guy in a GTI, and that's what we do. That's I like hanging out with those guys, and I can see the correlation where guys want to come down and hang out with the guys who make one of their favorite cigars, if not their favorite cigar, one of their favorite cigars, because there's just so many great cigars out there. It's nice just to be in the conversation.
Yeah, and it is tough. I mean, especially today. I mean, you got more and more brands, boutique brands, small brands coming out of the woodwork. I mean, not in a bad sense, but there's a lot of competition out there.
Well, sure. A lot of the look. We're a large boutique company. I think if we're going to start categorizing ourselves and then subcategorizing ourselves, I think we're a large boutique company. I think there are about 10 companies that are direct, and I don't want to say direct competition because there's enough space for everybody.
Right.
But there are about 10 companies that are about the same size, with the same kind of footprint in the marketplace, and are very active on social media. Then you have a lot of companies that have shown up out of the blue in the last couple of years. And I don't know if it's guys, I don't know if their heart was in the right place, or if they were, trying to grab, the vestiges of the last, this current boom. But I wish them all well. I hope that they're not the tip of the spear when it comes crashing down, which, there will be a correction at some point. But I think that you have to use this time between now and the next correction to well establish yourself in that hierarchy of cigar manufacturers. We're in a very good spot. We have a very charismatic team. We've been doing this 11 years now, and where everybody's growing at a nice rate. We have just grown. Everybody's growing incrementally. We've just blown the doors off this shit in the last couple of years. So that's fingers crossed that we keep it up.
Yeah, you guys have done a great job, and it's funny. A little bit before you mentioned Espinosa is a brand that really grew out of social media, and you guys have capitalized on that. And I think that there's a lot of companies who have done that. Some of them I think were later to the game, but I think when they saw people like yourselves, from the beginning do it, and the success that you had, it's like, oh, the social media thing, I need to get in on that. And there's a handful of brands that come to mind that were good brands, established brands, already did a lot of business, even much bigger brands than Espinosa, that I've just seen in the last couple of years. It's like they do a lot more on social media now, and they're staying relevant with a younger generation and being able to connect with people more. Kind of like
it's not just about marketing on social media. It's any kind of engagement, whether you're opining on even though we try to stay away in our company, we kind of have we kind of stay away from anything political. We use the Michael Jordan approach when it comes to politics, because as Michael Jordan said, he goes, "Look, I don't want to get into politics because both Democrats and Republicans buy sneakers, so we don't do the political stuff, but we may opine. I've been known to opine on the Cuba thing on occasion, or Eric might just do a short video where he's got a card trick, or he wants to tell a story, or he's promoting an upcoming event, to Saka's question of the week, to Skip's rant on something that he saw that made him want to give an opinion on something, and regardless of the opinion and regardless of what you feel, the interactions where it's at, when you're getting 500 views and 500 comments, you are interacting with your crowd. I mean, when it's not it might be, when I'm sorry, when Carney and during the pandemic, they were doing the cooking thing on live, show that was
Hacking Gourmet.
Yeah, Hacking Gourmet. Then you have Terrence now, who's really Agranosa's really embraced the video aspect of it with the videos, and Terrence talking about whether it's fermentation or leaf processing or the fields, or you are trying to engage on just hey, this is being released. Hey, I'll be at the Huff and Puff in Tulsa, Oklahoma on the 8th. You're trying to engage a little bit past that. And listen, whether it's, I think the Dolphins are going to win the Super Bowl this year. You put that on there, you get engagement from guys. No, it's going to be the Cowboys. No, it's going to be this. It's going to be that. I mean, we do all kinds of silly shit and it's not silly. You think about it. It's something that we're not forced to do it. We're doing it because we want to do it. Me and Jack do a draft show, for Christ's sakes. We don't work for ESPN. We don't have hair like Mel Kiper, but here we are. Here we are bringing in guys in the industry who are fans of their team right before the pick. Hey, what do you think? We had Terrence on one year. Hey, Terrence, the Patriots are on the clock. What do you think they're going? And Terrence like, well, I think we need a tight end or maybe a running back. But then all of a sudden, New England traded the pick to somebody. Hey, Terrence, I'm sorry, man. We made a trade. You got to go. And they traded it to Denver, and I got the dojo guy on. Hey, Eric, what do you think is going on here? Oh, I think they're going to go linebacker here. This is the guy that, and this is nothing to do with cigars. But there are people watching because it's their cigar guys and bringing on other cigar guys to talk about something completely outside of cigars to show you that we are multidimensional. And Samantha Nicole says she wants us to bring back the Heckle and Jekyll show. We had to stop the Heckle and Jekyll show because we eventually were going to get in trouble. Because we were going to get in trouble because, as I like to say, a lot of people say we're gossipy. We're not gossipy. We're intelligence gatherers. That's what I did in my career in the police department, and it's hard for me to stop doing it now. So I like being known as the unofficial center of intelligence and information of the industry.
Information relay.
Information relay, where we get information and we vet it, and then we can either agree or disagree with what we heard, and keep it to ourselves, and then like to say at the end, well, we already knew that because we do. But we were going to get in trouble because a lot of the Heckle and Jekyll guests that we had on are friends of ours. For instance, we had Juan Lopez on from Gurkha, so who's a sponsor. It's Mitchell's sponsor.
Yes.
So Juan's on the show. We can't have a 30-minute show with Juan. I mean, all of Juan's great stories cannot be told on the air. I mean, because Juan's that guy who's been in the industry 25 years. He's got great stories.
Yeah.
We had Skip on. That's going to end badly. Somebody's going to get told. Somebody's going to get called a slapdick or something like that. We can't go. We eventually had to tone it down, and we had to just eventually let it fade away because we were going to get in trouble. The last thing we want is Eric getting calls about us. Being on the air, saying things we shouldn't say. So or bringing up things that we shouldn't bring up. So we just pretty much ditched it. Heckle and Jekyll will be back for the draft, and maybe an occasional show every once in a while we get bored, but we like the interaction. We like interacting with guys in our industry. We have something in common, and I think it kind of splits the pie. It kind of shares our pie with whoever we bring on to talk about something, and whoever we bring on brings their following to the show as well.
True.
So we really enjoy that.
Yeah.
I actually had. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Mitchell. I'll let you go first.
I just had a quick question, kind of a comment about like PCA or what you think about PCA. So obviously the last few years the Big Four haven't been there, and it feels like you guys have really stepped up into the shoes that they used to fill. Have you felt like that has maybe opened you guys up to new accounts or new faces that you might not have seen previously at trade shows? Or do you think just like this little boom is part of that, or all of the above?
Well, I think it has. Look, first of all, I'm going to be completely honest with you. Not having the Big Four there helps everybody, and we have friends who work for the Big Four. The Big Four is not there for their own reasons, and you can't debate the reasons they have chosen not to go to the PCA. Those are fundamental reasons for those companies to not go. That said, not having the Big Four there has helped everybody else, us included, because this is what happens at the first day of the show. The first day of the show are people dedicated to going to see the Big Four. And, you have an appointment at 9:30 and you get there a little bit before 9:30 and the guy's tied up. But, hey, look, have a cigar and sit down and let me show you around. And then now you look up at the clock and it's 10:30 or 10:15. And finally, the guy's free for your appointment. So you spend an hour with him. And then after that, it's another cigar and maybe have a drink and look around and then place your order. Next thing you know, as a consumer, a retailer who goes to the show, he spent 3 hours at that booth. That's 3 hours at this booth, 3 hours or 2.5 hours at this booth, 2.5 hours at the second booth. That's 5 hours out of the day. Now he's got to do the other two big two later, either today or the next day. Those are 2.5 hours that he can spend at three booths, at three boutique booths or three smaller brand booths, interacting and placing orders and creating business and buzz for us. So is there something missing by not having the big four? Of course. It's like how do you have a car show without Chevy, Ford, Chevrolet, Ford, or Toyota? How do you have a consumer car engagement show without having those four brands? So those three big crests, those three big brands. Same thing applies. However, we have tried to make the best of it as everybody else has, and it's their decision not to go, and I respect their decision not to go. They have their reasons, and I think the smaller companies, the brand new ones that pop in every year, at least one or two come in, they definitely have benefited from that, because while you're at the show, now you find yourself with a couple extra hours that you don't have committed to going to one of the big manufacturers. So you're walking past and looking into you're going into the deeper reaches of the show floor and coming across the smaller brands and maybe considering bringing it in. So it's good for everybody all the way around.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. And for a more lighthearted question, what for your Battle of the Bands draft, who do you think is the favorite to win besides your own picks, obviously?
Listen, I am a professional drafter. I I used to do fantasy baseball and I used to do fantasy football. Well, I still do fantasy football. I like anything to do with drafts and shit like that because I get a chance to be analytical. And when I did the last show last year, I smoked them with Nirvana. I mean, how is Nirvana? Yeah, I mean, so when this show came up, I had, if I was going to be number one, it doesn't matter if I would have been number four. The guy I took, Prince and Purple Rain, to me is the '80s, and I'm not a huge Prince fan. Like I'm not a huge Nirvana fan, but sometimes you have to go outside of your comfort zone and go with the band. Because if it was a draft for my bands, I would be in last place, because all of the bands I like from the '80s are all the second English invasion, and the Smiths and the Cure, and though they might be popular in the underground or in among us who are alternative
awesome
guys. They're not. Yeah, thank you, but they're not there. I'm saying thank you like me and Morrissey are pals, but my I took it because you have to look at the audience. And like I told these guys during the show, I walked into 100 cigar stores and never once have I heard How Soon Is Now being played at a cigar store. But I have heard Let's Go Crazy, and I've heard, When Bubs Cry, I've heard Prince, and I was hoping John would succumb to the pressure of taking Michael Jackson's Thriller. I just hope that the backlash about what happened to Mike will affect his voting, and Prince will again win, and that'll be 2 years in a row, and I can retire after two successful draft captures.
So do you think Michael Jackson is your toughest competition?
I think Michael Jackson by far is our toughest competition.
All right.
I would say.
I mean, Springsteen. Springsteen had his time in the '80s. U2 had his time in the '80s, but there's unfortunately, what happens is things that are popular, they receive backlash later on. I've heard guys go, "Oh, not another U2 album." Hey, listen, they put out 20 fucking albums. You didn't know what it's like to live in the '80s when U2 was an angry band, trying to set the world on fire and change the world. But the problem is it's 2020 now, so now they're a bunch of old gray-haired guys, who don't, who aren't angry because the sway of music has changed.
Our generation won't ever forget when iTunes forced U2 onto our libraries, and we were all like, "What is this?
I didn't ask for this album. Why is it on my phone?"
I didn't ask for this. What are you doing?
I know you didn't want Age of Innocence, but I'll tell you, I'm 57 years old, and I saw
Joshua Tree's amazing.
Joshua Tree's amazing. I saw them play the War album at the Sportatorium. I saw them during the Unforgettable Fire at the Omni. I mean, this is a band that captured my angst as a youth, because that happens to be the period that I grew up in. Like I'm sure the Nirvana captured the angst of the people who grew up in the '90s. I went with And so I went with Prince because Prince, not only did he pass away recently, people remember that performance at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and they'll remember Prince Purple Rain because hell, who has not seen Purple Rain? I mean,
Or
who
what
has
about
not seen?
when he
Super
played
Bowl, man.
the halftime show and he played Purple Rain, Under the Rain?
There you go.
I mean, come
You know,
on.
like
Absolutely.
that's one of the
Come on.
most iconic shows of all time. So you do
So,
have a good
you know,
pick.
that-
But yeah.
I think John is my best. I think John's my closest competition. Coop and Dave Burke suffer from reminiscence. They just they can't let go of I knew Dave was going to end up taking like a Mariah Carey or Whitney Houston or something like that. And also you have to gauge the audience. We're dealing with cigar smokers, and cigar smokers like music, and they like a particular music, and you could be a country guy, or you could be an RB guy, or you could be a alt guy or an indie guy, but you know who Prince is, and we all looked at in awe as she cleansed herself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka, if you remember the movie. So
I
that
do.
was yeah, I sure as hell
Yep.
do too.
Yep. That was, I mean, I would say as 80s goes, I mean, Purple Rain, that's one of those movies that's, speaks to the 80s. I mean,
Absolutely.
it's up there with some of the greats of the 80s. I mean, and if you were from that time, like yourself or, our parents, it was, that was the time. And,
Great.
a
Thank
lot
you.
of the,
Thanks, I appreciate that.
yeah,
Thanks.
just
I appreciate that.
not to make you feel
look at-
bad, but I
You
mean,
and
it's
my,
true.
my great
Well,
grandparents.
Look at the time. I gotta go.
And Coop, and you mentioned Coop. Coop holds on to the nostalgia, so to speak, and he's in that age bracket too. And in conversations
Coop's
I've had with,
me and Cooper are about the same age, but I feel he's 20 years older than I am. I mean, you should
Yeah.
hear us on private chat, just going over some of the things that we just don't agree on. I mean, this is and everybody rags him for the same things. The importance of managers, the importance of. I mean, he is definitely from a different era. He is
Gabe Kapler.
he is. Are you a comic book guy? Any of you guys were comic book guys
I'm
growing
not,
up as
no.
kids? All right. Well,
Yeah, a little
you had
bit.
Golden Age. We had Golden Age and Silver Age. He is still the. He's Silver Age, man. He is. He
The
is
Bronze
old school.
Age.
Oh, he's the Bronze Age, actually. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. The Bronze Age of comic books. He absolutely is. So yeah, he is. He's that guy. I love him, but he's that guy, and he's easy. He's an easy target to make fun of when we start ragging on these things. I don't know. I don't know. I've got to tell you, this guy.
Oh man, that's great.
That's a good impression.
Oh, David Wayne's a comic book nerd. You know what? I am too, to be honest with you. I have a huge
Hector,
comic book
my
collection.
favorite when you're talking to Coop and you tell him something, you already know he's up in arms about it because he literally goes, and like you're saying your piece, you're not even done yet, and you just go, yeah, like I thought that this cigar, and you just like basically
Well,
now you're
hey,
waiting to finish what you have to say so that you can see what he. Well, Hector, I don't know where you got that.
I don't see it that way.
I don't.
But I'll tell you what, we've been friends now almost 11 years.
Yeah.
And I consider him a friend outside of the industry.
Oh yeah.
And we talk about all kinds of shit.
Coop's the best.
When his dad passed away, it was a hard time for him. And
Oh yeah.
but we're kind of the same boat. We have grown kids, and we both like this industry. Obviously, we love it from different perspectives. And he's just so much fun because I'm gonna go see him now when I'm done here, and I'm gonna mess with him. I'm in that mood today to just mess with him a little bit. So I'm gonna mess with him.
Tell me say hi.
Hector, what you gotta do is you gotta ask him. Be like, are you a resident of Florida now? Because I mean, he's been down there for like.
I literally
Let me tell you
texted him that
something.
yesterday. I was like, "You moving down,
cannot
dude?"
wait. Listen, I cannot wait to retire officially and leave Florida. I am tired of chasing hurricanes. I'm tired of swamp ass in July. Getting this hot as balls. Christmas. It's 85 degrees at Christmas. There's no way you can get into the seasons here. I can't wait to leave here and move somewhere where you have 4 seasons and I can be the old man telling you to get off my lawn. And he is in the other direction, which is weird. As old school as he is, when it comes to loving Miami, he loves Miami. It's almost nouveau about him. He loves it.
To him, it's the greatest
It's
city in the world. He said it all the time.
well, but yes, and for people who live here, we're like, are you insane? You know, this is one of the rudest cities. I mean, maybe it's not New York, but this is an incredibly rude city. They don't habla. I habla, and I have a hard time hablando here with my local residents here. I'm over Miami. I
It's
really
the
am.
greatest city to visit.
It's a great city to visit. If you want to take a cruise, you come down, you spend a day, you get on a cruise ship. You can't go to South Beach anymore. South Beach is dangerous as hell. It's not like the old days where your family, like back in 1910 when I was a young kid, Matt, and you come down here and you rent a hotel room on the beach, and it's not like that anymore. Miami is very glitzy, is very flashy. So, I'm over it. And anyway, if you live here, you're constantly between Memorial Day and November and Thanksgiving. You're constantly worried about any little tropical storm that develops off the coast of Good Hope there in South Africa, because it's always targeted to hit Miami. Because the weather is brought to you by the good folks at Home Depot and Publix. Did I leave? Am I there?
You're there.
You're there. You're
a
just
little
very
pixelated.
pixelated.
What happened here? There you go. I see myself in the little corner box, but not in the screen. That's weird.
It is strange. You're all
All right.
pixelated. Oh, you're back now.
There you go.
There you go.
So all the weather here is brought to you by the Home Depot and the local supermarket. So come buy your water and your lumber to cover up your windows. These storms are a nightmare, man. When these storms start to get close, when these storms start to get close, you're like, man, this is some monkey shit right here. So, and it's getting pretty populated. We're at about 3.1 million people now. There's a lot of people living in Miami, and there's not that much space left.
It's definitely a busy place. But again, I think for the same reason, Coop loves Miami because of the
cigars.
The cigars and the nostalgia. I think he feels like he's.
He stays at Don Shula's hotel, for Christ's sakes. He is such a creature of habit. He stays in Miami Lakes, it's a very nice area. But compared to all the places, he's constantly down south. Why don't you stay closer to the south? Hey, he likes what he likes, man. I got to give him credit. I'm the same way. I'm a creature of habit as well. It's hard for me to break away.
Yeah, no, and that's I say it's natural. I don't know. I mean, I guess everyone's a creature of habit to some degree. I guess some of us more than others, but to a degree, I think we all are. But Hector, I'm looking at the time here, and this show blew by. We're almost done here. We're gonna wrap up the show. So first of all, thank you for being on the show. It's always great to see you. It's always great to sit down and talk to you.
I appreciate it. Listen, an hour and a half is not. Listen, I'm one of those 3 or 4 guys, and they know who they are. That we just love the sound of our own voice. We can talk for 3 hours.
Oh, I know.
So we it's not a problem. Hour and a half. You said, hey, can you come on the show for an hour and a half? I can do that on my head. Look, I only had one cigar. I only knew it was a 1 cigar show.
Yeah. It's not Cigar Coop, so we get in and we get out.
It's not the baseball marathon. The 4-hour baseball marathon that we
But guys, that's going to be our show for this week. So thank you for being here with us. Thank you for watching. If you're listening later on the podcast platforms, thank you. And if you're not, go ahead and subscribe to us wherever you can get your podcasts on all of the podcast apps and download our episodes. And while you're at it, head over to our Cigar Family Charitable Foundation fundraising raffle. You can find the link in the comments, in the videos, as well as at smokintabacco.com on our fundraiser section at the top, or I think it's under charity. We are at 9110 the last time I checked. So we are moving right along, and thank you once again to everyone who's been a part of it and has donated. We really appreciate it. Next week we have Jason and Rebecca from Ash Quarterly coming on the show. And I think we're doing a spare notes this weekend because I don't know how long Coop's in Florida for now. I know he went back.
He leaves Thursday. He leaves tomorrow.
All right. So yeah, he'll be out. So we'll be probably doing spare notes. So stay tuned for another spare notes show. That's going to be a long one. It's going to be a busy one. And it was a great time. Hector, again, thank you for being here. And stay smoky, buddy.
My pleasure. No problem, man.
All right, guys, that's going to do it. We'll see you next week. Take care.